Imagine the final moments of Adam and Eve's lives. The first humans, created directly by the hands of God, are now facing something they were never meant to experience: death. But how exactly did it happen? The Bible offers hints but also leaves gaps that have intrigued theologians and scholars for centuries. We know Adam lived 930 years, but the details of his death remain a mystery. What was his final journey like? Did he depart in peace, or did he carry the heavy burden of the sin he brought into the world? And what about Eve? Though mentioned less frequently, her experience must have been equally profound. Did they reflect together on the paradise they lost, or what they might have done differently? This raises a significant question. Was there a moment of reconciliation before the end? Get ready, because in the next segment we'll explore the weight of original sin and how it shaped this inevitable destiny. To understand how Adam and Eve died, we must return to the event that changed everything: the fall in the Garden of Eden. Original sin did not only bring spiritual separation between God and humanity, it also introduced mortality. Have you ever thought that until then, Adam and Eve were immortal? It was disobedience, eating the forbidden fruit, that activated the curse of death. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because in the upcoming videos we'll dive into even more mysteries you won't want to miss. But how did this curse manifest? Was it gradual, like the aging process we know today, or something more sudden? Moreover, did the weight of original sin cause them to emotionally collapse before their physical demise? The narrative leaves room for interpretation. Additionally, Adam and Eve's deaths were not just personal. They symbolize the fate of all humanity. This leads us to the next question: how long did they actually live? The answer is more revealing than it seems. Adam lived an astonishing 930 years, according to Genesis. But what do these numbers really mean? For many, this was an era when humans had extreme longevity due to their closeness to divine creation and the initial absence of bodily corruption. However, others argue that this time frame might carry symbolic meaning, representing the far-reaching impact of their choices across generations. Here's something intriguing. During nearly a millennium, Adam and Eve witnessed the growth of their descendants, but also the spread of sin in the world. How did they cope with the guilt of seeing the effects of their fall unfold? And even more curious is the fact that the Bible does not mention the exact moment of Eve's death. Was this intentional to leave an air of mystery? As we ponder these questions, we must explore the physical and spiritual consequences of the fall to understand the full picture. We'll delve deeper into this analysis in the next segment. When Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, something profound changed in their essence. Before, their bodies were immortal, free from pain or suffering. After the fall, mortality became a reality, bringing aging, pain, and eventually death. But the impact wasn't just physical. Spiritually, they were separated from God's direct presence, likely causing constant emotional anguish. Have you ever imagined how they faced these transformations? Every wrinkle on Adam and Eve's faces, every ache in their bodies, probably served as a constant reminder of the fall. Meanwhile, hard labor and childbirth pain became daily realities. Yet one thing kept them moving forward: the promise of future redemption through their lineage. But what was the ultimate meaning of all this? Did the death of Adam and Eve close a chapter? Or was it just the beginning of something greater? We'll connect these consequences to the broader significance of the narrative in our upcoming segments. Despite the devastating consequences of sin, God made a promise to humanity through Adam and Eve. In Genesis 3:15, he mentioned the descendant who would crush the serpent's head, pointing to future redemption. This promise gave Adam and Eve hope amid their daily struggles. Can you imagine what it must have been like to live with the weight of the past and, at the same time, the hope of a redemptive future? This hope not only shaped how they faced their days, but also influenced future generations. But here lies a mystery. How did they interpret this promise? Did they expect it to be fulfilled in their lifetime? Or did they understand it as part of a broader plan? To unravel this, we need to analyze the impact of their lineage on human history. Which brings us to the next topic. Adam and Eve are the ancestors of all humanity, and their lineage carries both the mark of original sin and the promise of redemption. Their children, Cain, Abel, and Seth, represent the first steps of this journey. However, their stories also reflect the weight of the choices made in Eden. Cain's murder of Abel serves as a grim reminder of how quickly sin spread. Did you already know these facts? Drop a comment if you've heard of this before. Let's chat. It's intriguing to think that while witnessing their generations grow, Adam and Eve also saw the devastating effects of their decisions. How did this shape their view of life and death? Moreover, it's fascinating to explore how Seth, considered the precursor of the godly lineage, brought new hope. But this lineage also holds secrets and mysteries that point to even deeper events, as we'll explore in the next topic. Although the Bible doesn't detail how Adam and Eve died, various traditions and apocryphal texts offer fascinating narratives. Some ancient manuscripts suggest that Adam was granted a vision of humanity's future before his death, while others mention that angels came to comfort him in his final moments. And what about Eve? Her death is shrouded in even more mystery. In some traditions, it's believed that she spent her final years in deep reflection and prayer for her family's redemption. These narratives, though not canonical, enrich our understanding of how different cultures and eras have tried to fill the gaps left by the biblical account. But why did these myths arise? Were they attempts to make sense of an incomplete story, or do they hold hidden truths? This question leads us to the next point. How does modern theological interpretation view these events? Today, theologians continue to debate the meaning of Adam and Eve's deaths. For some, their physical death represents the fullness of humanity's separation from God. For others, it's a reminder that divine grace has been present from the beginning, allowing them to live long lives and initiate the redemption that would come through Christ. There are also those who see the story of Adam and Eve as a symbolic narrative representing the human condition and the constant struggle between good and evil. These interpretations raise thought-provoking questions. Was their death just an endpoint, or the beginning of a new era for humanity? And what does this mean for us today? Let's dive deeper into these topics, connecting the story of Adam and Eve to the impact it continues to have on society today. One of the most intriguing interpretations of the story of Adam and Eve is the idea that they symbolize the awakening of human consciousness. By eating from the forbidden fruit, they gained knowledge of good and evil, something that set them apart from other living beings and brought them closer to God in terms of moral understanding. But this awareness came at a price: the responsibility for their actions and the weight of regret. It is possible that this duality shaped the way they faced the challenges of life outside the Garden of Eden. How did this new perception influence their relationships, decisions, and the way they raised their children? And can their experience help us understand our own journey as humanity? These questions open up a range of reflections on the purpose of life and the mysteries surrounding our existence. But they also lead us to a fundamental point: the impact Adam and Eve had on the formation of early human societies. Adam and Eve were not only central figures in the biblical tradition, but also archetypes that profoundly influenced the first civilizations. Many scholars argue that the creation and fall stories present in other cultures might have been inspired, either directly or indirectly, by the Genesis narrative. Let's continue. But before we do, I noticed you haven't hit the like button yet. If you're enjoying the content, go ahead and click on the like. The idea of a primordial couple who gave rise to humanity resonates across various traditions worldwide. But how did these stories shape the values and social structures of the early civilizations? Could they have influenced views on family, work, and even governance? And more importantly, how did these narratives shape the way we understand our relationship with the divine and with one another? As we explore these questions, we realize that Adam and Eve are more than just biblical figures. They are universal symbols of hope, error, and redemption. This brings us to the next topic, which explores a surprising element of this narrative: science and genetics. In recent years, Science has made impressive strides in understanding the origin of humanity. Genetic studies reveal that all humans share common ancestors, sometimes referred to as Y-chromosomal Adam and mitochondrial Eve. And while these terms do not directly refer to the biblical couple, they raise fascinating questions about our shared origin. What do these discoveries mean for the story of Adam and Eve? Could it be that science and faith converge in some way? While modern genetics does not confirm the literal existence of Adam and Eve, it reinforces the idea that humanity is a great family, interconnected in deep and complex ways. These findings open the door to a broader discussion about the connection between science and spirituality, leading us to the final point: the eternal legacy of Adam and Eve. Centuries after their supposed existence, the story of Adam and Eve continues to influence cultures, religions, and philosophical debates. They represent the duality of the human condition, the capacity for great deeds, and the burden of mistakes. In the modern world, this story is still used to reflect on issues like morality, purpose, and the search for redemption. But beyond that, it challenges us to look within ourselves. If we are heirs to their story, we are also heirs to their responsibility and their potential for good. Thus, the story of Adam and Eve remains alive, not only as an ancient tale but as a mirror for our own journey. Can we learn from them and use their experience as a guide for our lives? Or are we destined to repeat the same mistakes? This reflection stands as the final great mystery, challenging us to find our own answers. Thanks for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to keep receiving more incredible content like this.